The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of Choice 105.3 or its advertisers.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need, baby.
Listen.
Caller, you want to tell me and then we tell the rest.
Learn.
My passion first is for young men to be what we used to call in the boys' brigade, sure and steadfast.
Tell me, a Choice program on Thursdays from 8 to 10 p.m. It's eye-opening.
Hello. I want to tell the people then be careful what they call me these people. Anybody calling us trash, we're going to lick you and we're going to lick you real hard.
Thought-provoking.
You old people you're calling outsiders. No.
Interesting.
Because you know, because you don't even know the facts. Oral Martin should have make it his business to notify NNC.
Oh, you work at NNC?
And let me know.
And entertaining. Tell me, heard all over the world on www.choicefm1053.com. What have you got to say? Calling on area code 869-469-5300. From the USA or Canada, call 203-983-8903. From your cell phone, call 662-5304 or text 1053 or email tellmechoice@yahoo.com. Nivisions, near and far, your chance to call in on Tell Me on Choice Community Radio.
Tell me what you want, baby. Tell me what you need, baby. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, baby.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP.
Good evening. It is Thursday, the 13th day of July, 2017, 3 minutes after 8 p.m. on a beautiful, crisp Thursday evening here in beautiful Queen City, Nevis. My name is Sean Springett alongside Mr. Tulu Weeks and our host, Mr. Carly Powell. And again, our program is Tell Me. We're here with you every Thursday evening for a full 2 hours, an interactive program where we are taking calls from you, WhatsApp from you, emails from you, whatever the case may be. If you want to discuss issues pertaining to our island of Nevis. Again, I'd like to say good evening to Mr. Weeks. Welcome back for another week.
Good evening, Sean, and again, the Almighty has given us another privilege to meet again on this another Thursday evening, and for that we are extremely grateful. And so, again, let me say good evening to those who are listening, participating with us this evening, and I trust that you would have had a good week last week, and if it's not going so good at the moment, hope that as the moment rolls on, that you begin to experience better times. And so sit back, listen, participate with us, as again we come to share with you information that we know will help you to make wise, informed decisions.
And our host, Mr. Powell, good evening to you.
Good evening, Sean and Tulu, and good evening to all our listeners wherever you are. And I'm going to start this week all the way over in New York and to say a very special good evening to Mother Francis. You know Eulalie Francis, Tulu, from
sure.
up your way?
Oh, sure.
Well, I'm starting in New York and saying good evening, Eulalie, Had a good chat with her this week, and she was in great spirits.
Amen.
You know, so I'm starting day this week and saying good evening to you. Hope that you're listening. Hope that you're well. And then I'm going to come home. And in coming home, I'm going to say good evening to the NRP flagman. You know a fellow named Maurice Newton? You see all those flags on his fence, and every time the wind takes care of them, he put up brand new fresh flags. So our flagman, Maurice Newton, I want to say good evening to you. Hope you're doing well this evening, and hope that you're all tuned in as well. Sean, I'm going to start at our own Van Samry International Airport, which is fast becoming a desert. One of those white elephants that Dr. Daly loved to write about. And I say that because Winnie pulled all of their flights save for the weekends. Mm-hmm. So whereas you had 2 flights a day minimum operating in and out of the airport here, we know that Mark double salary, do nothing blankly, came into office promising that they were going to make the airport a hive of activity. Well, one day this week, I know passing in the area, I was stopped by a taximan and I was told it's almost noon and not a single cricket has moved at the airport, much less a plane. Almost noon time. And so Winnie, don't fly into Nevis on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. They only fly on the weekends. And so those students who used to travel with Winnie to St. Martin to pick up their flights to go home, my understanding is that a lot of them are now taking a water taxi. We take a water taxi to St. Kitts, but they take the water taxi to St. Martin. And this is on the heels of Mark Brantley saying that he had expanded and exploded the number of flights operating into and out of the airport. Never mind, we came here on this show and we said that he had seats coming in, but the seats were empty. Never mind that we had to come on this radio and say that Seaborn was doing a good business in sand in Puerto Rico. Because when they came to Nevis and the plane was empty and light and they wanted to balance the plane, they just went down on the beach and picked up some sand in some sandbags, put them in the plane, and the Nevis government, we lost sand. The people of Nevis lost money from the treasury, and we were sending empty planes back down to San Juan with Seaborn Airlines. Trade winds gone, Hummingbird gone, KPA gone, Winnie just barely holding on. Seaborn, Lord, sometimes you're at the airport, one person come off Seaborn, and sometimes nobody there. But that is when it is good, because when it is bad, they don't come at all. And so, under the CCM, with late already gone, we are seeing an exodus of flights from the airport here in Nevis. And the Minister of Tourism seems unable to do anything. At the town hall meeting last night, Honorable Roberto Hector made a very important point, which I don't want to escape people. In that Mark Brantley is the Minister of Tourism for Nevis. And he seems happy to tell people that Nevis had a little over 9,000 cruise visitors this year for the cruise season. And when he said that, he beat his chest as if to say, and you know, I am only getting a double salary, I want a third salary. Because we had whole 9,000 cruise visitors. While in St. Kitts, they said they had 1 million. But guess what? Cruise passengers in St. Kitts is cruise passengers in Nevis. So if you get 1 million in St. Kitts, that 1 million is in Nevis too. Because prosperity in St. Kitts is prosperity in Nevis. I don't know about you, but guys, I've never seen such stupidity coming from any minister anywhere in the world. And I'm very, very, very unsurprised by the actions of this double salary blankly.
It's interesting that you would start this off, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine in St. Kitts yesterday, and I asked him how many flights per day does Winnie have into St. Kitts, and he said right now it's a slow season, but they have 2 flights. High season they have 3 flights. I inquired about Seaborn. Seaborn has a daily flight into St. Kitts. Now, I'm going on the St. Kitts Nevis Times, written by Tony Frederick, 27th November 2014. And I'm going to read a small part here. He says that and this is Mr. Brantley, we've had difficulty up and down in the line of attracting airlift, but we have increased direct airlift in and out of Nevis to Puerto Rico and increased from 14 seats to 100. No, these are just seats. He didn't say about passengers actually sitting in the seat. Now, let me look at a post from the Nevis Tourism Authority, and this is on the government website, Nevis Island Administration, and it's captioned, Nevis Tourism Industry Doing Well, says Minister Brantley. Here, in it, he's talking about a three-prong approach to increasing tourism. He says, and I'm quoting, the second pillar has been airlift. We have formed a view, very firm view, that we cannot seek to grow the Nevis economy, and we cannot seek to grow tourism without adequate airlift. And so this government has gone aggressively to try and increase airlift, specifically airlift from Puerto Rico, which we feel is and will continue to be one of the most important hubs for Nevis, for the island of Nevis. Puerto Rico, we are told, I believe, has direct air access to some 23 U.S. cities. Remember that. 23 U.S. cities, and as the United States and the East Coast, in particular, continues to be our dominant market. We have invested heavily in airlift from and through Puerto Rico. This is the part that caught me because I'm wondering where the money is going. We've actually hired public relation firms in New York, in London, and now in Puerto Rico as well. Our goal would be, especially in the off-season again, to get some traffic coming in from Puerto Rico. Now, if you're hiring public relation firms in the east coast of the United States, in London, and in Puerto Rico, and we're at the stage where the airport is basically shut down, it shows that the money was invested badly. Who is responsible for that? Who is paying for that? The taxpayers of Nevis. If you drive by the airport, you see more birds flying over the airport and into the airport than aircrafts.
I will say, like I normally say, what he said then, it was a lie. And he knew that he was telling a lie. He said that to impress people. I do not believe for 1 second that they invested heavily in nobody anywhere to bring people to Nevis, to attract airlift into Nevis, or not airlift, but to bring passengers into Nevis. I do not believe it for 1 second, because it has not been realized for 1 minute since he got into office. And if indeed there's an element of truth to it, then it must be a waste of taxpayers' money. And the people of Nevis must ask themselves and must ask ourselves, how much longer are we going to put up with the incompetence, the failure of Mark Brantley, the whole system administration, but him, because he has the most to say? How much longer are we going to put up with him? He says that when KP was here, KP was doing about 14 seats into Puerto Rico. And so they got rid of KP, forced them out of the market for Seaborn. But Seaborn is not bringing in 4. So you send out 14 seats, and you bring in 4, and you're clapping your shoulder because you want a bigger plane with more empty seats. It makes absolutely no sense. And I keep on saying, and will say again, Mark Brantley is one of the most intelligent fool I've ever come across. In one of the children's program, they had a program that speaks about the fairly intelligent fly, where you say everybody inside, all the other things inside the web, and say, listen, this doesn't look right, but then let me go in for a dip to see what's taking place inside here. Then he got caught. That fairly intelligent fly is more intelligent than our deputy premier. And he makes no bones about that, no apologies for it. He has clearly demonstrated to the people of Nevis and the people of this world that he's not a wise fellow. He portrays every characteristic of a fool.
It's interesting, though. I've I'm here online, and there's a website called FlightAware, and if you enter St. Kitts, you can see flights coming in and flights going out. If you enter the Nevis, you will see the flights coming in and flights going out. That would be registered in the air traffic control system. What I'm seeing here for St. Kitts for today, and these are just the international flights. I'm seeing 10 flights, and that doesn't include some of the other aircraft that are not going through the system. I'm looking at Nevis and I'm seeing 2 flights. 1, 2. And this is, the airport is open, from 6 until 9 p.m. technically. What it's supposed to. But you have staff that are there every day. You have taxi drivers. And speaking of taxi drivers, remember that Mr. Brantley said the taxi drivers won't even have an opportunity to play dominoes at the airport because there will be so much work for them to do.
Empty talk. And Sean, it is no accident that what is taking place at the airport is taking place. You have the Premier of Nevis, Vance W. Amory, whose name is on the airport, and the airport is called Vance W. Amory International. While Vance Amory is making preparation for people from Nevis, Nevigians and whoever in Nevis, to travel outside of Nevis, to take a ferry from Charleston at 6 o'clock at mornings to go to St. Kitts to make connecting flights. Mark Brantley is in Nevis bringing in an airline that bring no passengers and basically take out no passengers. And so we are in a situation where the 2 top persons of our government, the Premier and the Deputy Premier, are fighting across each other, going across each other. And none of them really has any real interest in what's taking place on the island. They have absolutely, Mark has made it abundantly clear that you do not worry about the passengers that comes into St. Kitts, cruise passengers or whoever passengers, whether it's at the airport or the seaport. He says to the people of Nevis, especially those in the taxi operating business, why are you bawling for? Stop your complaining. Prosperity in St. Kitts is prosperity in Nevis. That's what he says to the people in the taxi operation. So he has already indicated to the people of Nevis that I'm not give 2 hoots about what happened in Nevis as long as something is taking place in St. Kitts. The Premier basically says the same thing. I am putting in on a special boat to get Nevigians to go to St. Kitts to take their flights from there. And so both of them doesn't give 2 hoots. And so no wonder we are.
But gentlemen, it goes much deeper than that. And the lack of attention to the airport suggests to me that even though this CCM administration keep adding staff to the airport, that if you were to run the airport as a business, that the dance can't pay for the lights. Certainly cannot pay for the lights. But it gets worse than that. You have to remember that thieves stole an entire ATM from the airport. They didn't just walk in and had a crane truck and lifted it up, But it may as well have been like that. An entire ATM went missing from the airport, and we're hearing very quietly that the government, through the Nevis E&C Ports Authority, is agreeing to compensate the operator of the ATM and the owner of the ATM for the machine, for loss of business, and for the contents of the machine. So the thieves made off with the machine, and there were 2 security officers at work on the night when the thieves made off with the machine, and nobody noticed anything until after 12 the next day. That is what I am told. But even though the thieves made off with the machine and the contents of the machine, this Nevis Island administration has remained quiet on the matter. They have decided not to utter a single word on the matter. So not only this great breach of security, but not only the theft of the machine, not only the compensation for the machine, the contents of the machine, and the loss of business, but we are now hearing that this government does not intend to say a word about the ATM. that they refuse to even discuss the missing ATM. It is just as if it never happened, that nobody ever took out the ATM. And guess what? It all came back to the stupidity of this government by announcing to the thieves, we're going to close down the Newcastle police station on a given date.
15th.
And we are going to move out the policemen, put some in Gingerland and put some in Cotton Ground. And so on the very night when they moved out the policemen, the thieves who had been telegraphed and given the message that no police officers are here and that the security officers at the airport normally go to sleep in the night anyhow, so they are not going to see you. The thieves move in, and I don't believe that they wrap up the ATM, you know. I don't believe that they put it in a wheelbarrow. But they took out an entire ATM from the airport in Nevis, and not a John man said a word. And so, if they could take out an ATM, they would probably be saying to themselves, well, Mark Brantley could allow KPA to go. Van Samri could allow Tradewinds to go. Alexis Jeffers could allow Hummingbird to go. Hazel Brandy Williams could allow Leah to go.
Twice.
And Troy Libod could allow Sibon to reduce their flights into the airport. Is the whole government which is complicit in this? I have never seen a more irresponsible government than this one. I have never seen a government with so much chat and can't do a single thing to back their chat. They said, according to the report there by Tony Frederick Sean, that this incompetent double salary do nothing blankly said that he had increased the flights to Puerto Rico from 14 to 100. That's a sevenfold increase. Sevenfold increase. But guess what? Not only did he increase the flights, and he said that he did, he increased the seats, but he also oversaw the reduction and the departure of the very same seats, where we are lower than where we started first. And so it is a shame, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to us on this matter. We are going to switch gears, but before we switch gears, let me remind you that the Jessop's Community Center this Saturday will be hosting the constituency of St. Thomas's breakfast. They usually have a very fine breakfast, and they're going to have their breakfast for $20. I still have 1 or 2 tickets, so if you need a ticket, just give me a shout. It's a St. Thomas's NRP group thing where they will be having this big breakfast, and that breakfast is only $20. So make sure that you are there and that you participate in that breakfast. And secondly, I have to say to you that there is an opportunity which is coming up. Some past students of the Gingerland Secondary School are in the mood to give back. And so they will be having right here in Nevis on Tuesday, the 25th of July, from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, a career day. That is coming up just now, so make sure that you mark down the date. At the Gingerland Secondary School grounds, Tuesday, the 25th of July, 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a career day. And that will be done by students of the entering class of 1979. And they will share their expertise, and careers include health and biomedical science, law enforcement, computer science, accounting, electrical engineering, education, entrepreneurship, and others. And I am also to tell you that this Saturday night, right there at the DR Walwyn Plaza, there will be a 4 DJ clash. And we are asking you to come out and support the youth arm of the Nevis Reformation Party as they do this very, very, very big fundraiser. And I was just given here, you know, our research group is great, and I just got something here from Sean. Captioned, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Tourism, Mark Brantley, taking a look at an aircraft from Tradewinds Aviation Fleet on the tarmac of the Vance W. Amory International Airport. And here his comment. I'm very grateful that all of your stakeholders can be here today. I see hoteliers, and I am hopeful that you will continue to support the efforts of the administration in really bringing us back to a place where we can all be proud once more of the industry and our capacity to deliver what our guests are looking for. He said, you see this, Mark Brantley? I have never met a more dunce Minister of Tourism or Minister of anything. He is what the old people would call all frat and no mobby.
You see that
He speaks a lot, but there's nothing there.
Because the frat will taste like a little bit of the mobby, will taste mobby frat. He doesn't have that in him. See, less than that.
Well, then he's in bad shape.
He's less than that. Because even if I'm mobby frat, he'll taste a little bit of the mobby flavor, man. He doesn't have that.
We're going to take our first break, and I have to tell you that at 1:30, we're expecting a call from Washington, where they will be talking about a very big and important event that will be happening up there shortly. We're not going to give you any details right now. We're going to wait until we get the details, and when we welcome our caller from Washington is a Nivision voice. So we expect you to be able to listen after we get back from this break.
You're listening to Choice Community Radio, 105.3 and 105.5 FM, your community station.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Navisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, no matter if you're white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP, easy. Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me. And while we wait for a call from Washington, let me say a very special good evening to my guilty pleasure, enjoying a glass of red wine and listening to Tell Me, and I hope that you are feeling better. Now, gentlemen, I've been following a case, as I said to Tulu, for many, many, many years. And yesterday, we had the case of the United States District Court, Multiple District of Florida, Tampa Division, United States of America versus Duane Critchfield and Stephen Donaldson. And in that case, we finally had an order. Now, before I even go there, I want to suggest to you that you should know who these people are. because we have been talking to you for a very long time about Critchfield and Donaldson. And so we're going to be backing up and we're going to be telling you about Critchfield and Donaldson, and you're going to hear a lot about these people, not only tonight, but in succeeding nights. Right here in Nevis, and mixed up as a part of this, is the whole matter of Dr. Christian Berry. And you remember that Dr. David Jonathan Christian Berry came to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in January of 2015. And he said that an injustice was done to him. And what was this injustice? He had invested some $2.5 million US in an insurance company in a scheme that they had going. What's the name of the company? Well, there were two companies really. First Fidelity Trust and Fidelity Insurance Limited. And these companies were here in Nevis. Address, R.G. Solomon Arcade Suite 11, Charlestown, Nevis, which is where First Fidelity Trust was based. And that trust was managed by Mrs. Sharon Brantley. Not only was it managed by Sharon Brantley, but we're told, and I believe that Mark Brantley said himself, that he was a director of First Fidelity, and that he resigned from his role as a director sometime in 2006. But the fact is that the manager of First Fidelity was Mrs. Sharon Brantley, and the trust director was Mr. Keithley Lake. I want you to make sure that you understand these names. Keithley Lake is the same owner, if you may, of the sister firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates. He's based in Anguilla. And that is the same firm who, when the Nevis Island administration, when they have cases, as they seem to be in court so often nowadays, very often, they send up a lawyer from that sister firm of Lake and Associates to come to Nevis to help out the Nevis Island administration. I want to suggest to you that here in Nevis, that Daniel Brantley and Associates are involved in a number of cases as well for the government. But whenever they decide that they want to parcel out the cases, they send them over to their sister firm in Anguilla, who put a lawyer on a plane. And from the moment they leave home in the morning, the Treasury of Nevis have to pay to get that lawyer to come to Nevis, or St. Kitts, or wherever in the Federation, to defend. Now, I'm saying all of this so that you have the background properly. Dr. Christian Berry said that he was in the market to purchase lawful insurance to protect his business when he was contacted by a man named Stephen Donaldson, who put him in touch with First Fidelity Trust. This is the same Stephen Donaldson, along with a man named Duane Critchfield, who were found guilty in the judgment that was handed down yesterday. And I am telling you this so that you can put the pieces together, because they were found guilty in this scheme to embezzle funds from the federal government. And Keithley Lake was a director. Mark Brantley was a director. Mark Brantley is now the deputy premier of Nevis. He said himself that yes, he was a director, and he want us to believe that he was just a nominal director, that he had no say and no understanding. But he resigned from the position in 2006. That is what they said to him. That is what he said to us. So I want the people to understand that this firm was in the business of selling business protection policies. And in short, here is a scheme that they came up with, as per outlined here in the judgment. These people, very smart, very glib with their language, they had a scheme where they got people to invest money. In return, this company, First Fidelity, and a whole set of other companies, they would take your money and they would give you back 85% of the money. So in fact, you would pay 15% of the monies that you invested. And these companies, First Fidelity, etc., would keep 15% of the money. Well, why was this so interesting? Why did it appear so sweet? Because according to the foreword in the judgment, the taxpayer accepted the notion that they could reduce the effective maximum marginal income tax rate from about 40% to 15% by signing a few papers and moving money from here to there, from there to who knows where, and then back again. I didn't make up that. That is in the judgment. So these people, including Dr. Christian Berry, put in their money. And in Nevis, I keep saying so that you could understand that Sharon Brantley managed one of those entities. Secondly, that Mark Brantley was a director of one of those entities. Formed in St. Kitts and Nevis, let me go back one, because I want people to get the very clear picture of the complicated nature that we are talking about. Formed in Anguilla in 1995, Foster and Dunhill marketed the business protection plan and hosted offshore sales presentations for the defendants' current and prospective customers. The defendants are Donaldson and Crithfield. Donaldson was a director, the chairman, and the chief executive officer of Foster and Dunhill that was formed in Anguilla. Who is in Anguilla? Keithley Lake is in Anguilla. Who is Keithley Lake? He is the owner of the sister law firm of Brantley and Associates. Critchfield was a director and an officer of Foster and Dunhill. Formed in St. Kitts and Nevis in 1995, Alliance Holding Company wholly owned First Fidelity Trust, Fidelity Insurance Company, and other entities in the enterprise. Remember, Mark Brantley was a director, his wife was the manager. Just as we see their names cropping up in the Anbar's case, just so again cropping up in this matter. First Fidelity Trust was formed in St. Kitts and Nevis in 1995. They sold Offshore Asset Protection Trust and administers the BPP. Crithfield was a director of First Fidelity Trust. I want you, I'm not calling a lot of names, but as the judge said, from here to there, from there to God knows where, and back again. Fidelity Insurance was formed in 1995 and Citadel Insurance Company formed in 2005. They sold the BPP business risk insurance policies, cash value life insurance policies, and annuities. Crithfield was a director until 2006. Remember, Mark resigned in 2006. You have to now work out in your head what is the connection. It is clear to me that the Brantleys knew or ought to have known, and we apply the Ivor Stevens law here. If they did not know, they ought to have known both Donaldson and Crithfield, both Mark Brantley, who was the director, and his wife, who was the manager. Crithfield and Donaldson each owned 40% of Citadel Insurance. And I want you to understand the complicated nature of this. I am hearing that Mark wants to tell people that as a director, he did not know much. He was a nominal director.
That's what he said.
I'm also hearing that he wants people to believe that as a director of a company through which more than 300 million US dollars passed, that he was unpaid.
That's what he said.
That he didn't get any money. Well, I wonder if I must believe all of that. Well, the judgment is a 36-page judgment. And according to the judgment, On the last page, United States District Judge Stephen D. Merriday said Dion Critchfield and Stephen Donaldson Sr. are guilty of the offenses charged in counts 1, 2, and 3 of the superseding indictment. A separate order will schedule sentencing for each defendant, and this was ordered in Tampa, Florida on July the 12th, 2017. So we're talking about just the other day. And you have to understand that when you owe the US government, when they think that you have cheated them of money, don't matter how long it takes, they are going to come after you and they are going to get their fair share of the money. So this is what we are seeing. The United States government found that these two gentlemen, Critchfield and Donaldson, who Mark Brantley and his wife knew or ought to have known, were guilty. And I'm saying to you that as a director of the company here in Nevis, Mark Brantley, in my mind, is equally as guilty.
It's interesting in the whole scenario. Now, my question here is, what happens to Mr. Christian Berry? I knew at some point he was here trying to recoup his money that he invested in this insurance company. Did he have anything to do in this judgment? Did he give any evidence? Well,
he was a witness.
He was a witness.
He was a witness.
So he's still fighting for his money.
He still has not received his $2.5 million US back yet. He was a witness in this matter.
Is there a possibility that they could go after these directors in this company? Those seems to be the principal owners of the company. What about those who are involved, the managers and the directors and things? Is there any way that they too can be held culpable for what took place?
I rather would like to think so. Because these people, as I said to you, either knew or they ought to have known. Let me give you an example. Under a business risk policy, a particular business paid $1,976,256 premium for $6 million worth of aggregate loss coverage. So almost $2 million for a premium for a $6 million coverage. First Fidelity Insurance purportedly retained $300,000 of the risk, 5% of the total sum covered, and transferred $5,700,000, 95% of the risk. So they retain money and transferred 95% of the risk. Of the $5,700,000, purportedly Fidelity purportedly retained $1,140,000 of the risk, 20%, which is 19% of the total cost covered. When you read all of these, boy, this is a mighty tangled web, Tulu. Tangled from beginning to end. And in all of this tanglement, somewhere in there, you can find the Deputy Premier of Nevis.
How much more entanglement would he be found in? Because this sounds like similar to the Anbar story, what we are hearing there. But I'm again wondering if there's where he got the art or developed the art, because the people of Cherry Garden were sold something similar, because the people were told that he had an agreement with a bank that were going to take over all of their loans and reduce their loans by $500, and everything was there to go, and only to find out that it was a hoax. So my thing is, will the United States government, or will the government of St. Kitts and Nevis bring charges against these people? Because according to the judgment, they said that this company was set up to defraud people. Okay? And so if you set up a company on this island, and the United States government is saying that is basically knowing that it was something that is put together to defraud people out of money. What happens to our justice system here? Our justice system can't bring charges, or that's the reason why the DPP was run out of office, to make sure that somebody is there who will not bring any charges against them. Something just do not add up here, because I believe that in our jurisdiction there must be some ways whereby prosecution or at least an open investigation be leveled in regards to these things, because our island, our country's name is tied to this fraudulent activity.
You know, guys, a few years ago, I compared the CCM administration to the Republican Party of the United States. At the time, I think NRP was in office, and I said that all that CCM has done in opposition is oppose, which is what the Republican Party would have done while Obama was president. Then we elected you had the CCM government elected Mark Brantley, who has never held any kind of political office, any kind of, well, anything close enough to representing the people. Compare that to the election of Donald Trump, who has never held any kind of political office. I don't know if you guys see the similarity. With this judgment that Mr. Powell is reading, you realize that we have been discussing this for years, and it seems to be like a drip situation. Look at the Russia situation with Donald Trump. When you think it's over, something else comes out. It's just a drip situation. So you know, I look at both guys with a lot of talk. I was speaking to a friend of mine a few weeks ago, and he said Mark Brantley can talk. And I said, yeah, he can talk. But ask the people of Brownhill, what has he done for Brownhill? We don't want people that talk. You could be elected to office and be mute. You don't have to say a word. What the people want is they want to see a reflection in their pockets of what the government is doing for their community. There was an article in the Observer that said that the Nevis Island administration got some 100 and something million dollars in the past 2 years, more than what the NIA would have received in the past 30 something years. And everyone that I have brought this or discussed this matter with, they said, how come we're not feeling it? You can drive around a 36 square mile island, 19 miles of road. If you drive 20 miles per hour, it's supposed to take you an hour to drive around Nevis. Take the opportunity to do that. And can you see in Nevis $113 million invested into the country? Can you see the people at the local shop? Can you see the people at down in the square on a Friday evening? Can you see the hustle and bustle in the morning of the construction workers that are heading out to work? Can you see where that $100 and something million would have gone to? Then you ask the question. No, the minister, I think, was on one of the news radio stations either yesterday or the day before, and he said yes, they were late in getting stuff going, but they have to remember that the first 2 years of their administration they had an antagonistic federal government. Doesn't Nevis have their own government? Why are you blaming the federal government for your lack of getting things done, or your inability to get things done? Are we just here existing to depend upon St. Caller, good evening. You're live on Tell Me.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to everybody on the panel there.
Good evening.
Very interesting, Mr. Powell. Certain thing you just said a minute ago there. I come full circle with the people of St. and Nevis. The word issue is not a word anymore. When Douglas was in, let's deal with the issue. We love our country. Put country first. But is the People's Action Movement putting country first? Is Mark Brantley putting the country first? Well, many even call him name. Mark is nothing about country. But the other people who was around him, the Troy Liberd, the Zooks and all these kind of people, are they putting the country first? Based on what you just read there, them lot of things they tell me there just now. These things are serious. But we don't want to deal with the issue anymore. Come across to St. Kitts. So much of burning issues. Mr. Powell, you know the print tree next to government headquarters?
Yes.
You know that's supposed to be moving up to Koi building? Up next to the airport?
Oh.
Okay. I'm not knocking Koi. But the hypocrisy, the nastiness, the evilness, the lyingness of Mark Brantley and Timothy Dictator Harris. I could recall Douglas wasting all the money and renting all these buildings. I could recall Timothy Harris lash out on Koi Hotel and all the others, including Mark Brantley them. How Douglas take up the money and do this and do that. Well, how come all of a sudden they're using it to pay rent? What is going on? What happened all of a sudden? What in it for some people? Just asking a question. How the printer and other government building, government institution gonna be in the Koi building? How is that? The same Stanford building on the other side. I could remember the rant and raid, how Douglas took up the money and took up the land and give it to Stanford. But they're using it today still. Stanford coming for it. I mean, I wonder if people sitting back and watching. As I said to you again, word issue, Mr. Powell, is no longer exist. Is no longer exist anymore. It is all. You all always talking politics. They lash out on the two former commissioner of police. But now today, I must accept a Jamaican man. I'm knocking Jamaica. But Mark Brantley and Vance Amry, you stand on podium when Timothy Dictator Harris said, Lawyer Anthony, bang, water, come here. Well, Mark Brantley, where your wife come from? Vance Amry, where your wife come from? Why you all so fully? But it's about you all self. The word issue is no longer relevant today. Timothy Harris family scattered all over this country. Mr. Powell, when you had flood in St. Kitts, the thing was if you had a backhoe and you just come and clean up, you will get paid. When the flood the other day, they single out the cleanup crew. That is why a big Pam man was outside government headquarters, because the family have to eat. I wonder who's going to be billing the building for the printry. Who is going to be responsible? Who are the players in that building? That is the question. And I hope one day, people are playing around in this country. You hear somebody ask about the DPP. How can you tell me, Mr. Powell, today, that the DPP was paid and Joseph Byron could go to a court and get away where he said that we're not supposed to know how much was paid? What a shame. Have a good night. I'll call back.
Thank you very much. We'll take a break. We seem to be having some challenges with our overseas line, and we do have that overseas caller who is trying to get in. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we should be online with our overseas caller from Washington. Back after this.
You're listening to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM, your community station.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4 and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4 and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
My name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Navies and Navisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Navies people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, no matter if you're white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me. We now have our overseas caller on the line. Good evening, how are you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Powell. How are you doing?
I am having a great night. I keep getting better and better. How about you?
Well, I'm doing well, sir.
Good.
This is Fitzroy Williams, Stocky. I'm calling to just to invite your listeners in the tri-state area of New York area, between New York and Washington, D.C., and also those who might be living at home who would be in the area around September 30th. I'm inviting them to the NFDC Honors Banquet, which will be held on September 30th in Washington, D.C. First, before I forget, let me direct them to our website where they can purchase the tickets for at nev.dc.org. The prices are $100 until the 15th of July. After that, it goes up to $110 until August 31st, and then on to $120, which is the eventual price, up until September 20th. This year, we'll be honoring 4 outstanding divisions in the name of Miss Evelyn Henville, Mr. Ashley Farrell, Mr. Arthur Anvlin, Brother Anvlin, and Mrs. Clara Walters. We'll have an entertainment by a Nivision artist. That has not been finalized yet, but it will be a Nivision artist. The keynote speaker will be Mrs. Evelyn. This is primarily a fundraising event. This is our primary fundraising event every year, so we ask that people come out and support us this year. The following day, October 1st, we'll have a brunch, which has become quite popular with the attendees. As it's not really a brunch, it lasts all day until everyone's ready to go home. So we're inviting everyone to come on down, everyone in New York, Connecticut, Virginia, D.C. area to come on down and help celebrate with us and help celebrate these outstanding individuals.
Location?
Washington, D.C. is going to be at the Martin's Crosswind in Greenbelt, Maryland. And this is a new location from previous years. If you follow the link on the ticket, on the flyer on the ticket, there's a hotel which is close by. There's complimentary rates, so everything is set up for us.
And how many persons are you expecting?
Well, over the years we've had up to 150 people or more. Last year was about 125.
Okay, but you are expecting it to be big.
Excuse me?
You are expecting it to be big?
It's big every year.
Okay.
It's only getting bigger. We expect it to be big every year.
And remind people who are the honorees again this year.
The honorees this year are Mrs. Evelyn, Mrs. Clara Walters, Mr. Ashley Farrell, and Mr. Arthur Anglin, Brother Anglin.
We wish you the very best of luck with both events, not just this event, but the brunch the next day. And we're hoping that Nevisions all over, and Kittitians too, people from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis and friends of St. Kitts and Nevis would come out and show their very strong support for these 4 individuals who you have named and whom you're honoring, but also for the event itself, because I'm sure that your funds are usually put to a very good cause. Quite recently, we know that you sent down some beds which were shared by the Flamboyant Home and the St. George and St. John Senior Citizens Home. And so support comes back to Nevis. Gentlemen, any questions for Stucky? Stucky, we have a Brownhill man here on the show as well, you know.
Who's that?
Sean.
Okay, yeah.
Probably doesn't know me.
You probably left a little before Sean came along, but you would know Sean.
I remember Sean very well. I remember Sean very well. My least fond memory of Sean is when I was heading to school late, and he somehow called his mom, Mrs. Springett, and told her I was coming.
He wanted you to get a ride.
I've never forgotten him for that.
No, he wanted you to get a ride in the car.
I've never quite forgotten him for that, but that's okay.
Well, Stucky, we want to wish you the very best of luck with this event. My apologies again for the challenges you had with reaching us on the overseas line. We are going through a couple of changes here, and we are changing over, but the internet speed is now super, so we should get the phone sorted out and so on.
It was an honor to be on your program tonight, Mr. Powell.
Yeah, well, we thank you again.
And hello, and let me just take this chance to say hello to everyone in the metropolis. You know where that is.
Yes.
And the entire island of Nevis also. All right.
Okay, date of the event again?
Excuse me?
The date of the event again?
The date of the event is September 30th. That's the Saturday, and the brunch is the following day on Sunday.
Okay, we're going to speak about it every week, and we hope that 1 week before the event that you will be back to talk to us again.
I'll be happy to be back sometime later.
Thank you very much, Stucky.
Prior to the event.
Thank you very much. And we're urging people to go out and support this event. We'll take another break. When we come back, we still have a lot more on this Critchfield, Donaldson, Brantley matter, and we have other issues to speak to you about tonight as well. Back after this.
Don't leave me, girl. Hi, this is Garlic, and listen to Choice Community Radio Station 105.3, 105.5, your community radio station. Keep it locked, because this is the station I listen to all the time.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. mighty. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it no matter if you white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important, important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important, important for it. NRP, easy. Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP, you don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Novitions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important, important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me, where I have to say to you as well that in the matter of Richard Vento, Lana Vento, Gail Vento, Rennie Vento, Nicole Mollison, First Nevis Trust Company Limited, and Keithley Lake, Fidelity Insurance Company Limited, etc. And this is a matter which went all the way to the appeal court. And the justices who heard this matter were Justices Mr. Davidson Kelvin Baptiste, Madam Louise Esther Blenman, and Madam Gertel Thumb. And in this matter, this was all about the Ventos bringing an action against, as I said to you, Keithley Lake and First Fidelity and all of those people. They appealed, the Ventos appealed, and they received a final arbitral award in the amount of 7 million. Well, not appealed. When the matter went to court, this was heard in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they received a final arbitral award against Keithley Lake and First Fidelity and so on of US 7,419,000. The award was issued against the respondent and others and made pursuant to a written arbitration agreement executed in the United States Virgin Islands. The respondents were ordinarily resident in Anguilla, and I suppose they are talking about Keithley Lake and so on. But they decided that they wanted to appeal that award of $7,419,000. And the cost, the order for cost, which was only $7,000 US. But let me read from the judgment itself. The appellants were the recipients of a final arbitral award issued against the respondents and others in the sum of $7,419,000. The respondents were ordinarily resident in Anguilla and or companies incorporated under the Companies Act of Anguilla. That's from the first one. The appellants applied to a judge in the court below for an order to register and enforce the final arbitral award as a judgment against the respondents, against Keithley Lake and others. Now, this is where it got interesting, because a judge threw out the matter, and so the Ventos had to appeal. And when the Ventos appealed the matter, paragraph 34, for all the reasons indicated, and there are various reasons, I will allow the appeal and set aside the orders of the learned judge to throw out that judgment of the $7.4 million. I will also order that the arbitration award dated 23rd November 2013 shall be registered so that it may be enforceable as if it were an order of the court. That the said award shall be enforced as if it were an order of the court. Cost to the appellants in the court below of US $7,000 and cost on the appeal to be assessed if not agreed within 21 days. And this is signed by the appeal court judges, which I said to you. So in this matter, the Ventors won their case against Keithley Lake, who I said to you is the owner of the sister law firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates. And he himself was a director of First Fidelity. And I already outlined to you the association between Mark Brantley, a director, and his wife, who was the manager of the insurance company. So you have this First Fidelity linking all of them together. And this same First Fidelity and others linking Critfield, Donaldson, who were found guilty and who are now about 70 and 68 years old, but will more than likely spend some time in jail. That matter, First Fidelity, linking them, linking the Brantleys, and linking Keithley Lake. So here we are. The longer you go, the more time passes, the more you find out things about this Brantley. He claimed to have resigned from the company in 2006, but the investigation started before 2006.
So here are my questions, Mr. Powell. I would like to know when the investigation started, because it will have started before, most likely before 2006. But what is interesting here is that he claimed, that is Mr. Brantley, that he resigned from the company in 2006. One of the persons who was charged in the indictment and convicted also resigned from the company in 2006. And so here is the question. At what time in 2006, I'd like to know, when they resigned? Because we know there was a change of government in June 2006. Did they resign after the government change, and so they recognize that the racket that they are running will be found out by the incoming administration? Did they resign before the election? These are questions that are very, very crucial, because if they resign before the election, they could say, well, we find out something and something. Well, at least the person from Nevis could have said, well, I resign just because I did not want to have anything else to do with the company. But if they resigned after the election, it is saying to me that they understood that they were doing something that was illegal, and that the new administration coming in might or will find out, and they'll find themselves in trouble. So that's a question that I like to have answered. But you know, the prophet Isaiah said something that is very interesting. And he says in his first chapter, in verse 23, it says, your princes, talking about political leadership, are rebellious and companions of thieves. All of them love bribes and follow after reward. And according to the judgment, if these people indeed were all together in cahoots in defrauding persons, even them who are from Nevis, who were part of this company, they cannot convince me that they did not know, as managers and directors, what was taking place inside the company. I will not be convinced. And the way that Isaiah said, this way I look at it. They are rebels and companion thieves of thieves, and understood that from this business they will be able to make some sort of money. And so when Brantley retired, he said that he was a minimal director in the company. He did not know about the company's day-to-day running, and he made no money from the company. He resigned. But then let's suppose that is true. We're told that his wife was what? The manager of the company. And so, if he did not benefit directly, at least his family benefited because his wife as a manager assured that she was not managing this company for nothing. Even if he said that he was a director in the company for nothing, his wife as a manager was not managing the company for nothing. And so, this warrants an investigation in Nevis or in St. Kitts and Nevis in regards to this matter.
Tulu, stop, pause a minute. You are talking about Mark's involvement, his wife's involvement as manager of First Fidelity Trust. But I want you to see this evidence which I am holding up in front of you, that Daniel Brantley and Associates were also involved.
So Daniel Brantley and Associates
just as in the Anbar's case, where husband was involved, wife was involved, and Daniel Brantley and Associates were involved. Just so the case, you see this letter I have in front of me? Mm-hmm. I will put it on the record because I want people to understand that we're not talking about yesterday. I have been following this case for nearly 10 years. But I want to take you back to 2002 when Dr. Jonathan David Christianberry became involved. And he decided that the sales pitch by Donaldson was so sweet that he wanted to be a part of that. Remember what I tell you, if you invested $1 million, in 1 year's time, you did not claim against the insurance, you got back $850,000. And the company, First Fidelity, or whichever one of the branches they're dealing with, kept $150,000 worth of your money. They kept 15%. But the American business people thought that that was okay. Because if they did not do it that way, Uncle Sam would get 40%. This way they only lost 15%. But I want to take you back. And I want to read an email from 2004 from the manager of First Fidelity Trust Limited, Sharon Brantley, to Dr. Christianberry. Dear Dr. Christianberry, I just wanted to update you on the status of your transfer. At present, we are holding the proceeds of the liquidation of your investments for transfer to the new trustee. I will not call the name of this person, was kind enough to send me a deed of retirement and appointment of new trustee, from which I was able to obtain the name of the new trustee. However, we still need to have our documentation completed and signed before the transfer of assets can take place. It is therefore important that I receive the address of the new trustee so that I can complete said documents. I understand that this transfer is a priority for you, and I would like to assist you so that we can bring early closure to the account. Therefore, I look forward to receiving the address of the new trustee from you in order to proceed with the necessary documentation. Signed by the manager, at least coming from the manager, Sharon Brantley. By 2003, December, Dr. Christianberry had had enough of this. So there was a letter which was written on his behalf, which says, Terry, per Dr. C, here is what he wants done. Withdrawal all funds. Place in a financial institution of his choosing. Will consider using Fidelity as the trustee if fees are competitive, and then once this is done, reassess whether or not he will participate as equal partner. Make it clear number 3 will not occur before number 1 and 2. And there are some other matters. There is here Dr. Christianberry getting a little agitated and wanting back his money. And he says, in December of 2002, I entered into discussions with First Fidelity Trust, located in the Solomon Building, Main Street, Charlestown, Nevis, in order to establish a trust. On December 23, 2002, I wired $2.5 million to the account of Fidelity Insurance Company Limited, First Fidelity Trust Limited at the National Bank of Anguilla. To date, I have received no statement of account so that I am not even certain that the money was ever applied to the trust that I had created. And it goes on. No. Here is it. He said, based on this, I decided to terminate the trust. I accordingly forwarded a letter of wishes to this effect to Mrs. Sharon Brantley, manager of First Fidelity Trust in Nevis. Mrs. Brantley responded with a letter enclosing my statement of account with the company. I was horrified to see that the funds due to me, according to Mrs. Brantley, was in the amount of $2,121,797.73, an amount which represents a loss of my initial investment of $2.5 million in the amount of $378,202.27. Whole ton of money don't chuck out of that. No, Dr. Christian Berry continued to get agitated. And this is where the law firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates stepped in. And they said, in effect, our clients, First Fidelity et al., instruct us that Mr. Christian Berry invested $2 million United States currency in the JDC Family Trust. He then bought a business protection policy worth 500,000 United States currency. So that's the $2.5 million. No. As agreed between the parties, JDC Family Trust will incur early termination fees on the fixed investment. This is Dr. Christian Berry trying to get back his money. And this is First Fidelity trying to claw as much of that money for themselves as possible, and having hired Daniel Brantley and Associates. No. As agreed between the parties, early termination fees and so on, in light of the above, our clients are prepared to make a net payment, which is less than the requisite deductions, of $1,940,000 United States currency. So the man invested $2.5 million. He said things not going how we want. He probably suspected that First Fidelity was a Ponzi scheme. So he said, give me back my money. And by saying, give me back my money, the company, and this is Daniel Brantley and Associates, making an offer. We're not going to give you back $2.5 million. We're not going to give you back $2 million. We're prepared to give you back $1,940,000.
But they're stealing.
So you would have lost $560,000 US dollars.
But there has to be stealing, because if you're selling me a product and I gave you my money for the product, I did not receive the product, then your responsibility is to give me back every cent, because you didn't give me what I bargained for.
But here is a problem, Tulu. This is a letter which was written on the 9th of September 2008. Dr. Christian Berry came to St. Kitts and Nevis in January of 2015 and was bawling blood. He had not received a cent of his money up to then. So up to 2015, Dr. Christian Berry still looking to Daniel Brantley and Associates and First Fidelity. Lord, give me back my money that I invested. Let's take this phone call. Caller, good evening. You're live on radio.
Mr. Powell.
So,
I want one of these big boys go to HMP. We have too much of serious issues. That is why we can't trust the Caribbean and this court system and that kind of thing, because there's too much of friendship in between there. How nobody investigating these things serious? Why how come in America, Donald Trump and everybody, how come all these other issues that you're talking about, Mr. Powell, cannot go to the court? I understand. I don't understand. These are serious issues. Look at the past year, high school. Nobody giving account. Charlie Morton is working down in tourism. She was their teacher. The school settled down yet? But she down tourism, working, nice, good, it's okay now. What happened to the school? Who giving account? What is going on? School starting up again in September. The children scatter all over the place again. But who cares? She has a big job down in Lindsey Grant. Where's Ron Collins? He speak out the other day, and all of a sudden he's silent because he's up in government headquarters. It's all kind of nastiness going on in the country. Where's Charles Wilkins to come speak on these major issues? Where's he? It's not bothering him. It's not bothering him because it's poor people. So who cares? Look at the hospital. Who cares about us? Look at the post office working the other day. Who cares? Where's all these people who had so much mouth? Where's the prayer leaders? Where's Pastor Hazel? Where are these people high in society? Look at the sports department. We will show them. You bring this man who people used to look up to from Sunny Point with the school. Look at he saying nothing because everybody being bought. Nobody wants to talk now. Give me a big walk and everything is okay. What is going on? Look at Douglas Watley speaking out. But before they was telling you country above self, that is where a lot of these people are going to say tonight, I'm not looking up to anymore. I won't disrespect them in the street, but the respect I had for them is gone because they're not genuine people. They are evil and wicked to our young generation. Timothy said 2 years and we don't have a new leader. Up to now, you're not like that leader. Everybody's just quiet. Pamela wants to make the move because it can make Labour look good. So they're taking up all the shame. They ain't like what's going on with Timothy. Look at Billy Hubert's daughter, what she wrote on Facebook lately. Look at what's going on. Nobody taking these things serious. Because everybody about the party. I mean, look at this. You got some man down here called Pastor Hazel. Douglas cannot get a big up for both the and Pastor Hazel show. Rate the program. And he called himself a Christian. This is the kind of behavior. Where's the girls who was praying with the holy water people? You're not hearing them, Mr. Powell. Somebody need to go to jail. We have too much a serious issue in this country, and the people who are supposed to call themselves high and mighty and respectable, they waste of time. Waste of time. Our police force is in the most disarray in history. Police people left the force because Douglas was in power. They come in tongue the legitimate government. But as soon as you need to get in, half of them back in. Not only back in, but there's Timothy details. Look at Scrape, the man who charged with prison. He said Lindsey Grant was wrong to go to the Marriott. My God, he's in charge of the prison today. Lindsey Grant is in office. How can we trust all these people? Can you look up to them? My God, this country needs a lot of things. Too much of evil people in high places. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, caller. We're going to leave the First Fidelity and the Christian Berry after your next questions, Tulu, and we're going to move on to some other things. But we're going to come back to this next week and the week after and the week after because the linkages I want people to see between First Fidelity, Keatley Lake, who owns the sister law firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates, the Brantleys, Donaldson, and Critchfield. I want people to see those linkages. Tulu?
Here's my question to you. You said that this investigation, we have a call. Let us set the call. Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Powell.
So,
let's look as far back. 1995, the Labour Party got into government. But in 1987, some lawyer from Nevis went and changed the legislation for the offshore banking. You know what I'm talking about? And then we got blacklisted because the Labour government tried to do something about it. But in 1998, the Nevis government wanted secession. If you take a look at the last form in Davis, Daniel Granson Associates, just look at it. We are now in 2017. You check right back, and you will see. Look at all the things now that we now finding out happening. You go right back, all these things in 2004, 2014, all this lady and this law firm in Angular, it's all linked. It started way back then because there was this company, the Blue Diamonds Trust. People went to jail. I have a bit of it because Nevis is in this thing that they have American ingredients. This chapter that I have, and Nevis is talked about with the same company. Parent company was a company named A and O. It was in Florida. I have a bit of it on my Facebook page. This lady in this burying ground talking about what happened to her husband and her son, and that she would never rest until certain people go to prison, and certain people is Nevis. And I've looked and I've recorded these things, and now it's all adding up. Our passport hasn't been from Canada, has nothing to do with the Prime Minister's thinking. Government was being warned. You read a report one time about offshore, and like I just Googled offshore crimes in the Federation, and 90% of it takes place in Nevis. And nobody in high position go to prison but the one gentleman you spoke about. And people being warned and warned, and they just keep going and going. Nevis is one of the most corrupt place from the information from the people that I know. And that is what they're saying. And the fact is that no credible investor is going to come to Nevis to invest. The United States is so corrupt. It's from the top. You know, realize when there's a crime in the Nevis, the leaders don't do nothing. Those leaders are being investigated. Look at the African Council business. It's like the Prime Minister has them like, they can't do nothing or say nothing. They can't leave the party. This is what we have come to. All leaders are like they've been, like they're taking over. And I just can't understand the people of the Nevis does not care. You know what they say? They feel better when the leaders are not around. But they have accepted the fact that they have turned over the government to think it. And yeah, that we like it, so you're better off with them not around Mr. Powell. Because if you know what I know, we're in trouble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Always on point.
Always on point.
Yeah,
always make some very good contributions to the show. Let me apologize to overseas callers who have been trying to get us on the overseas line. I've just been told by my technician that it's not working. So the only way you can reach us this evening is on the local line, 469-5300. I don't know. I might be able to do a WhatsApp call if you were to WhatsApp call me on my number 7626157. I might be able to put you through live on the air from that number. Don't forget, on Saturday we are having this breakfast. If you don't have your ticket already, contact me. It's only $20. I still have a couple of tickets left. It's at the Jessups Community Center from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And they usually have a very big breakfast. Good evening, caller. You're live and tell me.
Good evening, caller. Well, you know, you and I have an interest in these cases.
Very much so. Very much so.
It can be the same case with Critchfield and Donaldson.
Critchfield and Donaldson. They were just found guilty.
They were just found guilty.
Yes.
And you know we get sued for reading the case. You know?
You got sued for reading the case on Freedom.
Yeah.
I remember.
Really, for saying that the judge said, the indictment said that the companies were set up for fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I read the indictments, next thing you get sued. But it's interesting You see how quick cases have been held in the court? The election case was held quickly, but not this one.
You're quite right.
Not this one. And well, Carlisle, there is the question of plausible deniability, and there is the question of guilty by association. So which is it?
Guilty by association.
Okay.
That is the one that I'm using this evening.
Guilty by association.
Very guilty by association.
Well, and you know I subscribe to the Ivor Stephen principle.
If you ought to have known, you knew.
If you should have known, you knew. So here it is. How then does a legal system separate the culpability from two persons who are waiting to be sentenced, and so that the other people who are members of the company are free? That sounds right to you?
Not at all.
So four
Absolutely
of us
not.
are involved in a company.
But there is a question. I wonder if our gentleman here turned state informant, if he informed on the others and got a get out of jail ticket.
Chuck Blazer died yesterday.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Chuck Blazer died yesterday. He turned informant to FIFA. So, and that led to FIFA arresting some top officials in 2015. So Chuck Blazer turned chief witness. But if you turn chief witness, you had to have been involved.
Of course, you must have known.
Okay. So should we have, the question arises, I think Transparency International would have something to say about this. I'm going to read what they're saying, because Transparency International keeps saying that there is a way of hiding, as it were, culpability in these companies. And I want to know when will our system say, hey, guilty by association, so you can't stand in an election?
You have a point.
You know,
remember that Keith Scarborough said that there was a case against Joseph Parry, so Joseph Parry should not stand, and he took the matter to court.
Well, this other puppy show here took me to court to argue that I should not be allowed to run because the court had found me guilty. The same court which turned around and said, no, you're not guilty when you try to appeal. So, based on the OECS court, will we get some justice here? Will we get something ruling?
Well, we already had a ruling against First Fidelity and Keatley Lake for $7-point-something million in the Vento matter. And you're familiar with that Vento case as well.
Right, of course. And what's the one in Illinois again? There's one in Illinois.
Christian
my goodness. Probably it's going to take us a long time to get
It's a lot of matters. Remember there is the Salty Brine matter as well.
Yes. So here it is. There are two common players. What we call that in mathematics?
Common denominators. Common denominators.
Common denominators, right. The two common denominators in this matter. And they show up all the time. As you read the information there to Christian Berry, I think it was, doesn't it sound similar to what the same person?
I'm losing you, Hensley.
Huh?
I'm losing you.
No, I'm saying as you read the information about the communication from the manager of the trust to Christian Berry, and you also, isn't there a common thread in the language to Ambas? Hurry up, I want to clean out the matter.
Yeah, there are similarities.
Yeah. So where will this end, Paul? You probably could suggest.
This is not going to end. No, it will not end until we research and dig right down and find out the involvement of Brantley.
Well, I am going to do just that, and he will sue because you research.
Well, there is a matter of the judgment, which I have all the judgments and the indictments and so on here in front of me.
Okay, so well, as you see how international countries do investigation, they peel all the layers of the onion back and front and peel them and peel them and peel them until we get to the truth.
True, and that is what must be done in this case as well.
Because you see, as you say, Paul, when we started, we were reading on this case for years now. And of course, the matter has gone to the courts from since when, 2013 or 2013 or 2014. That's 4 years now. No hearing. But the evidence, more and more evidence continues. So, well, you know, some of them say they have influence in the court, and I don't doubt that. Officers of the court boast that they have influence in the court, so they may be able to keep this matter out of the court. So which appeals court is hearing the matter on the $7 million?
Oh no, that's heard already, you know. That's heard already.
In the Virgin Islands.
That was heard, and the award was made in the Virgin Islands, and then it was heard here by our appeals court. Because when they tried to register that judgment to get it enforced, the judge actually tossed it out. The local judge in Anguilla tossed it out, and so the Ventos had to appeal that, and in appealing they won the reinstatement.
So where is it now that they should be paid?
Oh, the judges made it clear that the judgment should be enforced.
Okay.
So they should be collecting the $7 million, the Ventos, $7.41 million they should be collecting.
US dollars.
US dollars plus legal costs against Keith Lee Lake and First Fidelity.
Oh my.
If I may, let me go back. I read it earlier, but let me go back and say, for all the reasons indicated, I would allow the appeal which was made by the Ventos and set aside the orders of the learned judge. I would also order that the arbitration award dated 23rd November 2013 shall be registered so that it may be enforceable as if it were an order of the court. That the said award shall be enforced as if it were an order of the court.
Okay.
Cost to the appellant in the court below of US $7,000 and cost an appeal to be assessed if not agreed within 21 days. And the amount is US $7,419,000 against Keatley Lake, First Fidelity, Alliance Royalties Incorporated, Westminster Hope and Turnberry Limited, and Waterbury Limited.
And this settlement was dated when?
This is dated, let me go to the back page and tell you date of the judgment. No, I'll get that to you later. No, I have it now. Reissued 25th November 2015.
25th November 2015?
2015.
Okay. Well, but Powell, you know, there is the research team has to get to work. That's all I will say. And when the research team finds, the research team has to make this public so that the people of Nevis must know the kinds of people who are putting themselves up to become members of parliament, and they are supposed to sit above this level of this level of dealing, as it were.
I totally agree with you, and I keep my files meticulously, so that this evening when I got the judgment, the judgment which found Critchfield and Donaldson guilty was handed down yesterday, you know.
Only yesterday?
It was handed down yesterday. This is not an old judgment. This was handed down yesterday. It is actually dated the 12th.
But Critchfield and Donaldson are directors of a company involving those same persons.
Involving Brantley and Keatley Lake. So that is the point which I've been making and showing the linkages all night. This was handed down yesterday, and I got a call today, and I was told, check your email. And then shortly after that, another of our research team said to me, check your WhatsApp. I just sent you the link and a judgment that was handed down yesterday. So our people are on the ball. And not only that, I have to say to you, I know somebody is waiting here to call in on my WhatsApp, but I have to say to you that there is a matter in the local court for Dr. Christian Berry.
That's my question.
It was on the court list recently.
Really?
So there is a matter in our local court here in Nevis for and on behalf of Dr. Christian Berry. So keep your eyes on the court list, Hensley. Because if you look at the court list, you will notice that a matter is there.
But Christian Berry came here 2 years ago bawling for his money.
And got nothing.
So why did he get his money?
And I want to remind you, I read tonight a letter from Daniel Brantley and Associates, which was offering him a settlement. But in that settlement, he would have lost over $500,000 of his investment in US.
That's wrong.
Okay.
That is wrong.
Thank you very much, caller.
Well, the research team has work to do, Paul.
Has work to do, and they have worked well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll take a break, and then we'll be back with just our final minutes on this show. We have 14 minutes to 10.
This is the Magic Man. You listen to Community Radio, Choice 105.3 FM. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Keep it locked.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here to say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Novitions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it no matter if you're white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP, easy. Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here to say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Tell Me. We're in the final moments of the show. And Tulu, we had a fantastic town hall meeting last night at the Credit Union here in Charlestown. The presentations are getting better and better, and just fantastic presentations which came out from the 5 candidates, from of course Dr. Daly, and so we are so happy for that. Let me say good evening to this caller. Good evening, caller. Hello. No, we didn't get that caller who was trying to get through on WhatsApp. But Tulu, the as I said to you, the meeting last night at Red Cross, the presentations are getting better and better by the presenters for the Nevis Reformation Party, and a couple of issues came out last night which were quite interesting. And let me start in Charlestown, where Hector, who is the representative currently for Charlestown, made the announcement that we are looking to expand the Charlestown preschool. And I think this is one of the reasons must be the fact that that school is always at capacity. Because there are several people who come from outside of Charlestown to work in Charlestown. And you can't tell a single parent that, hey, listen, you're working in Charlestown, but you're from Newcastle. And so you should leave your child in Newcastle and there is nobody to collect the child at 3:30 in the afternoon. I think the best option would be to extend and expand the preschool in Charlestown. And Hector has said quite clearly that the Nevis Reformation Party will do that. But it gets even more interesting than that, in that Roberta Hector also advised that we'll be looking to extend what is now the Hunkins Drive and push that further down. And then we're looking to build something that will accommodate bigger tourist ships in Nevis. Because when we are having 9,000 tourists in Nevis and we're having 1 million in St. Kitts, what is that doing for us? So if you expand extend the Hunkins Drive, and then you get down into deeper waters down there, right down, we're looking to put it all the way down to Pennies. Extend that area all the way down to Pennies and have a cruise ship terminal in Nevis so that we can accommodate bigger ships than just the little small ones that are coming in at the present moment. And even when the bigger ones come, they have to stay way out to sea. We're saying that, listen, Nevis deserves better than that, and that the Nevis Reformation Party will bring better than that. Another important announcement that was made last night has to do with parking. If you are coming to Charlestown to do any business, you better get to Charlestown pretty early and be prepared to park far and to walk to where you're going. Because even when you do find a parking spot in Charlestown, you have to drive around so often to get that parking spot. And it seems to me that one of the biggest events of this CCM administration is to put yellow lines in town.
All over Charlestown.
Charlestown, that one street from Harlem coming all the way up, used to be a two-way street. And people used to be allowed to park on the street. Now it is a one-way street. You can't park on the street at all. You just got to make a message in the drugstore. When you come back out, you have $100 ticket on the windscreen. And so the Nevis Reformation Party has announced that we are going to build Nevis's first parking garage.
Wow.
And it will be a multi-story facility. And so that will take away some of the parking headaches that you have in Charlestown. And if the Nevis Reformation Party tell you that they will do it, we will do it.
Track record.
So we are going to build a multi-story parking facility that will take care of some of the parking problems that we have in Charlestown. And the time has come, and Nevisians understand that if you want to get secured parking and good parking, that it is going to cost you a little something. When I go down to Bastille and I have any business in Bastille, I just pay my $5 and park down on Port Zante and forget about the headache of driving all over the place to find a parking spot. And when you come back, $100 ticket on the windscreen if you park in the wrong place. So Nevis is saying, no, the time has come for us to do better. We're also going to put in Charlestown the community center that the people of Charlestown deserve. I mean, how is it that the capital does not have a community center? And then I heard a want to be representative saying that NRP didn't build a community center in Charlestown. So what happened to CCM? They've been in office for 4.5 years. NRP built 5 community centers in 1 year. So how is it in 4.5 years they can't build one single community center in Charlestown, but they blaming NRP? Don't worry about that. After the next election, NRP will fix that problem. And we will build a community center. So when there are activities in Charlestown, we don't have to go to any private organization. We can go to a government facility and have our meetings and whatever. And those are only a sample of the things from last night, Tulu.
So the person who is trying to run or going to be running for Charlestown, is he indicating to Alexis Jeffers that NRP was wrong to put a community center in St. James's and put none in Charlestown?
Well,
is he competing with the others?
It seems so. But not only that, Vans is saying that as well. Remember, he said five they said they build in 1 year. So he seemed as if he was angry that we build any at all.
Yeah, he was in Canton Ground when he made that statement. Then he came back and said that he's going to build one in Gingerland, in Rollins. I mean, it is, let me say here, first of all, that let me not change unfortunately. I do not get the town hall meetings because when the town hall meetings are scheduled, I am in church, which is a higher calling. But I'm happy to hear the report that is coming through.
They're on Facebook. So get your son to log on for you.
Facebook?
They're on Facebook.
He has something on Facebook?
Get the young people to log on for you and you can watch it at your convenience. Because they're recorded, they're right there on Facebook.
Listen,
Go to the NRP page.
I am a fool to technology, okay? I could make a call and I could send a call and I can check in my phone and check my balance. That's the only thing I can do with a phone, and I have something that they say is a smartphone. That's the most that I know. And so somebody will have to set me up a Facebook. Is it a Facebook page?
You don't have to have a Facebook page. Go to the NRP Facebook page.
Go to the NRP.
And you will see Good Morning Nevis. And from next week, I am told by my good technician here that we should be able to get Tell Me on Facebook from next week. So we're moving.
So then I have to get something to do with Facebook. Okay, I'll try to Marshall laughing at me. Marshall laughing at me. I feel bad. Marshall not supposed to laugh at me if I do not know. I do not know. I said I don't know.
Wait, Tulu. One of our fans, big fans down in the Virgin Islands, I'm not calling her name, but one of our solid fans is telling me that the views last night on Facebook for the town hall meeting, by the end of the meeting, was 1,400.
Bless the Lord.
So you see why we have to get Tell Me on Facebook?
We have to go on Facebook. And then you see why I have to go get into the Facebook store now and to learn the Facebook apparatus. So then I have to learn the face. I think I have something called WhatsApp on my phone, and I do not even know how to do the WhatsApp. And I think my son put it there. And there's also other people. Somebody told me that they look in my phone and my phone had something 100 and something WhatsApp messages. I can delete all. Do not even read them to me. Just delete them. And so we'll get there. But Mr. Powell, the information that we share this evening are vital information. And it draws my memory back to a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, when Minister Jeffers was on radio ranting and claiming that the members of the Nevis Reformation Party who was in government should be locked up. And it's amazing that he says that, because based on the information that we share here this evening, we are saying that the Deputy Premier and others should have been locked up. Okay, we have a caller. So let us take this call.
Good evening, caller. No, we seem to be having some challenges. It says reconnecting. But our speed here in the studio is very good, so I don't know what's causing that challenge. Go ahead, Tulu.
Yeah, so we're saying that Mr. Jeffers was leveling blame and saying that members of the Nevis Reformation Party should have been in jail because of issue with electricity on the island of Nevis. Now, the people must understand that these people came into office almost 5 years ago, and electricity was going good for the first 3 years, maybe 3.5. And after 3.5 years in office, electricity went down the drain. And they are saying that NRP should be blamed for their failure. But then, as I thought about what Mr. Jeffers said and what we discussed this evening, I want to remind him or to inform him who should be in jail. And I want him to understand that when he look at his teammates, he's going to find somebody there who the judge in an indictment or in a case says the unusual has done the unusual. And it's not just one thing that was unusual. It was a series of things that led to the judge to say that this individual was involved in stuff that is unusual. I want him to understand that his teammate, one of his teammates, was involved in setting up in a company that was set up to defraud people out of their monies. I want him to understand that one of his teammates was involved in holding for the last 10 years money that he claimed was given to him to assist the underprivileged children on Nevis. And up to today, 10 years later, he hasn't turned over 1 cent. I want him to understand that there are persons who are involved with the Marion Heights fiasco. I want to remind him that people in Nevis are dying from the lack of dialysis treatment when we have dialysis units on this island. So we're speaking about locked up. I want him to understand that he has teammates who had $1.5 million of Nevis people's money heading towards his account. I want him to understand that he has a teammate who changed their name or use fake name to deprive people or to steal people $6,000 $600,000 I heard $60,000. So when he's speaking about people should be locked up, I want him to look close to him. Look at his teammates. Look across him when he's sitting in cabinet and look across the table. And look at his teammates them and realize who should be locked up. I want to remind him that there's a building in Charleston, the labor building, where one of his colleagues gave his father the job to do. And he gave his father that job when somebody else who bid on the job bid $130,000 less. $130,000 less. But because of his father, he gave his father the job. But I also want to remind him that there's a $10 million cost overrun on the island of Nevis that has not been answered for. I want him to understand that there was a $5 million that was borrowed from a bank in Trinidad for a project in Bat Village that the money gone missing has not been accounted for. I want him to remind him that there was a $4 million that was put in Nevis Express that has not been accounted for. I want to remind him, Mr. Jeffers, that there is over $1.5 million, I think, for Grouper Decker that was lent to Grouper Decker for their startup on the airport, and Grouper Decker said that they paid back the money, but there is no record to show where the money is. Grouper Decker adamant that they paid the money. I want to remind him that there's a Marion Heights deal that went bad, where the price was inflated to help somebody else to do something. Let us look at Hanley's Road, and this is close to your heart, Minister Jeffers. You know the fiasco that went on down there, and you know all the blunders that went there, that the minister who is next to you don't want him close to you because of what went on there. You're speaking about people should go into jail, and that's all the tip of the iceberg. And so when you're speaking about NRP, candidates should have been in jail because your failure to keep electricity on this island. Think about these. Sit in cabinet, look across the cabinet table, and you realize that who should be in jail. But the information that was shared on this program this evening as we started, somebody should have been in jail.
Thank you very much, Tulu. We have come to the end of the show for this evening, and we are going to be happy to be back with you next week. Our next town hall meeting is Wednesday over at the Franklin Brown Community Center in St. James's. 7 o'clock in the evening, we'll be live on Facebook, we'll be live on Vision 2020, and we'll be live on Freedom FM. So we want you to come out and join us and be a part of that very exciting evening over there at the St. James's Community Center as we go to hear from Virgil Brown's the plans for the development of St. James's. Don't forget that the award ceremony for those 4 divisions, Captain Anslin, Clara Walters, Evelyn Henville, and Ashley Farrell, is coming up on the 30th of September in Washington. But before that, there will be a breakfast this week, Saturday, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at the Jessops Community Center. Come on out and support the activities of the Nevis Reformation Party. We'll be starting on Saturday night with a block party with 4 DJs down at the DR Wallowing Plaza from early evening all night. Have fun. Back with you next week, God's willing.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need.
Listen.
Caller, you all tell me, and then we tell the rest.
Learn.
My passion first is for young men to be what we used to call in the boys' brigade, sure and steadfast.
Tell me. A choice program on Thursdays from 8 to 10 p.m. It's eye-opening.
Hello. I want to tell the people then be careful what they call Nevis people. Anybody calling us trash, we're going to lick you and we're going to lick you real hard.
Thought-provoking.
You old people you're calling outsiders.
No. Interesting.
Hush your mouth, because you don't even know the facts. Oral Martin should have make it his business to notify NNC.
Oh, you work at NNC?
And let me know.
And entertaining. Tell me. Heard all over the world on www.choicefm1053.com. What have you got to say? Calling on area code 869-469-5300. From the USA or Canada, call 203-983-8903. From your cell phone, call 662-5304 or text 1053 or email tellmechoice@yahoo.com. Nivisions, near and far, your chance to call in on Tell Me on Choice Community Radio.
Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, baby.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program are not necessarily those of Choice FM Community Radio or its advertisers.